A dusk joyride turns chaotic as five teens race a golf cart off path, crashing it in a ditch. The owner, armed with photos, demands justice for his wrecked rental. In a tense courtroom, a sharp judge weighs their dares against the damage, splitting blame among the kids and their stunned parents. Will reckless fun cost them dear? Dive into this gripping clash where youth meets consequence, evidence pins guilt, and a fading evening's thrill echoes with questions of accountability. The air around the Whispering Pines golf course on the outskirts of Asheville, North Carolina, hung heavy with the mingled scents of freshly mown grass and the faint tang of pine sap, wafting from the surrounding woods under a fading July sky. Its oppressive stillness pierced by the sudden, guttural roar of a golf cart engine tearing through the dusk. The course, a sprawling expanse of rolling fairways and sand bunkers flanked by towering pines, and the dim glow of clubhouse lights, flickering to life, stretched beneath a sky streaked with amber and violet clouds, their edges dissolving into the humid haze that blurred the outlines of Asheville's mountain backdrop. The evening was thick, a sultry 82 degrees, the humidity clinging to the skin like a second layer, amplifying every sound, the rustle of leaves in the faint breeze, the distant hum of a mower winding down, the steady chirp of crickets rising from the underbrush like a chorus in the twilight. Five teens aged 15 to 17 stood at the heart of the chaos, their laughter turning to gasps as the golf cart veered off the path. Luke, Tanner 17, a lanky junior with a cocky grin forged by years of skateboarding down Asheville's hills, led the pack, steering the cart with a reckless glee, his dark hair plastered with sweat beneath a baseball cap, his steady hazel eyes glinting with mischief as he pushed the throttle, his hands trembling faintly on the wheel, his breath sharp with the thrill and the sting of defiance. His life, a restless rhythm of pranks and evasion since his father's job loss a year prior. His presence, bold yet shaky until it crashed. Beside him sat Mia Delgado, 16, a wiry sophomore with a sharp tongue honed by debate club, her black hair pulled into a tight ponytail that swayed with each jolt, her steady brown eyes wide with a mix of fear and excitement, her hands gripping the seat, her voice cutting through the din. "Slow down, Luke!" Behind them clung Ethan Brooks, 15, a quiet freshman with a nervous edge, his sandy hair tousled by the wind, his blue eyes darting as he clutched the rail, his breath ragged with the rush. His life, a cautious dance of following since his parents' divorce, his presence timid yet complicit. Rounding out the crew were twins, Ava and Noah Carter, 16, their blonde hair matted with dusk, their green eyes mirroring each other's thrill, Ava's sharp laugh piercing the air, Noah's steady grip on the cart's edge. Their lives, a tandem rhythm of dares and cover-ups, since their mother's remarriage, their presence a blend of chaos and unity until it shattered. At 7:15 p.m., the cart hit a ditch, the front wheel buckling with a sickening crunch, metal scraping earth as it flipped, the teens tumbling into the grass, their shouts swallowed by the dusk. George Miller, 54, the course owner and a grizzled man with a stern voice, forged by 20 years tending greens, emerged from the clubhouse, his gray eyes narrowing beneath a furrowed brow, his stocky frame tense beneath a faded polo shirt, his breath sharp with the faint tang of the coffee he'd sipped at 7 p.m. after a day managing rentals, his hands steady as he surveyed the wreckage. His life, a steady beat of labor and order since inheriting the course, his presence firm yet shaken until it demanded justice. He'd spotted the teens racing across the ninth hole, his sharp voice cutting through the twilight. "You kids wrecked my cart, you'll pay for this!" Luke scrambled up his grin, faltering, his voice shaky. "It was a dare, we'll fix it." George's tone hardened. "Too late, I'm suing, damages are mine." What unfolded was swift and chaotic. The teens scattered their footsteps, crunching gravel, as George called the sheriff, his steady gaze flaring with fury, his voice low, cutting through the dusk. "They'll pay every cent, this ain't over." Luke froze, his hazel eyes widening, as the weight of the crash sank in Mia's sharp retort, faltering. "It was just fun, chill out." Neighbors peeked from trailers across the road, phones flashing as they filmed their gasps. A chorus in the humidity, George. Standing firm, the teens retreating, chaos laid bare in the glow of camera lights. George's voice a whisper to himself. They'll learn. The teens saw a joyride gone wrong. George saw a rental ruined, a spark to his resolve, honed by years of turf and toil. He filed a suit the next week at the Buncombe County Courthouse, clerk's window, July 25th. His steady hands firm as he signed his polo swapped for a button-down. His voice stern. They trashed my cart, owe me justice. Their clash ignited a storm over youth and truth. Asheville's fading sky pressing down like a judge's scrutiny, waiting to fall the city's wooded trails, a brooding witness to their wreck. The Buncombe County Courthouse buzzed on a crisp August morning, its marble halls reverberating with the echo of footsteps that bounced off the polished floors like a steady drumbeat, threading through the cool, dry air, the scent of polished oak blending with the faint musk of old files stacked in dusty corners. Their edges yellowed and curling from years of handling, and the brittle chill that seeped through the walls after July's relentless humidity, and the sharp tang of coffee wafting from paper cups clutched by restless hands, its bitter aroma drifting through the space like a ghost of hurried mornings. The courtroom, perched on the third floor, was a grand chamber with oak benches, worn smooth by decades of Asheville's disputes, custody battles settled with terse nods or bitter glares that hung heavy in the air, petty theft cases hashed out in clipped exchanges of blame and defense that left the room taut with unresolved tension, civil suits, ending in reluctant handshakes or hollow apologies that faded into the low hum of whispered conversations. Its walls were lined with faded portraits of stern-faced judges, their edges curling under the weight of time and the cool air that slipped through the high windows, their glass clear and streaked with the faint frost of an early fall, offering fleeting glimpses of Asheville's skyline beyond its brick buildings, and the distant, shimmering ribbon of the French Broad River glowing faintly under a pale, overcast sky. At the front, behind a raised bench scarred with nicks and pen marks that traced decades of rulings and late-night deliberations over yellowed files, sat Judge Evelyn Hart, 55. Her gray hair pinned back in a tight bun that caught the fluorescent light, accentuating the sharp lines of her weathered face, etched by years of courtroom battles and Carolina summers. Her brown eyes sharp with a quiet intensity that sliced through the room's stillness like a hawk spotting prey across the French Broad's muddy expanse, seeing through bluster and bravado to the raw truth beneath a gaze that missed nothing and weighed everything with unflinching precision. Her robe hung crisp over a firm frame, tempered by years of discipline, broad shoulders from her days as a schoolteacher in Raleigh. Before law school, her voice steady with authority as it once called out lessons across noisy classrooms. Hands steady from wielding gavels and pens, their knuckles faintly knotted from gripping justice with a clarity that left no room for evasion. Her voice a firm, steady drawl, honed by 20 years on the bench, carrying a steel forged through countless courtroom tangles as she called the case, her tone cutting through the crisp air like a whip cracking over a silent ridge. Miller versus Tanner and others. Golf cart damage, claim damages sought. Let's hear it, folks, and keep it tight. I want facts, not feelings. We're here for evidence, not excuses. My docket's full and this frost's not waiting for dawdling, so let's move. George Miller sat at the plaintiff's table, flanked by his counsel, Tom Ellis, a wiry attorney with a pressed suit that fit snug on his slight frame, his sharp brown eyes darting between his client and the bench, a quick pen dancing across his notepad as he tracked every word, evidence meticulously stacked before them, a thick folder of repair estimates, photos, witness affidavits, rental records, his stern voice steady but brittle. As he adjusted his posture, a faint sheen of sweat beading on his forehead despite the cool air, his gray eyes hard with resolve, his stocky frame tense beneath a clean button-down, swapped for his usual polo, his breath, even as he braced for the fight, the faint whiff of grass, lingering from a morning at Whispering Pines, his lawyer's presence, a shield he'd leaned on to press claims since the crash hit. He'd built his life on the course, 20 years, tending greens, a cart fleet, his pride. Now a battleground, his confidence, a mask now firm as Evelyn took the bench, his resolve a steel thread woven through his claim. The five teens, Luke, Mia, Ethan, Ava, and Noah stood at the defendant's table, flanked by their parents, and a shared counsel, Sarah Mills, a wiry attorney with a rumpled suit that hung loose on her slight frame, her sharp green eyes darting between her clients and the bench, a quick pen dancing across her notepad as she tracked every word, papers thin and neatly arranged before them, little more than handwritten notes, and a few receipts. Luke's cocky grin tense but brittle, Mia's sharp tongue silent, Ethan's nervous edge quivering, Ava, and Noah's twin daring dulled their steady eyes, flickering with defiance, their parents tense beside them. Linda Tanner, a single mom with a weary gaze. Mark Delgado, a stern mechanic. Susan Brooks, a frazzled nurse. Karen Carter, a remarried teacher, their breaths sharp with the sting of nerves fueling their fight, the faint whiff of coffee and worry lingering from a sleepless night. Their lawyer's presence, a shield they'd leaned on to deflect blame since George's suit, landed their resolve a fire that flickered beneath their strain, their families a tangle of pride and panic. Evelyn leaned forward, her elbows resting firmly on the bench, her brown eyes scanning the filings. With a predator's focus, George's typed claim for damages, its pages crisp, with dates, repair estimates, and a detailed recounting of the July 24th incident, laid out in stark black ink, his owner's precision shining through every line, the teen's handwritten responses, a slim stack claiming, "No intent, just fun, shared fault." Her pen tapping a slow, deliberate rhythm against her notepad. Each tap a signal she was sifting through their mess with a judge's steady eye. Her voice cutting through the gallery's hum like a foghorn over the mountains. "Facts draw the line here, folks. Every time I see it in this room, a claim's weight caught in the balance, evidence decides it. Prove your case. I want specifics, not guesses, clarity, not chaos today. No whining, no waffling, just the truth. Plaintiffs up first." Her drawl carried a firm, unyielding authority, her gaze shifting between them, like a spotlight probing for cracks, weighing their claims with a steadiness that brooked no evasion. Her hands steady on the bench as she flipped through George's claim photos, estimates a recounting of the fading dusk, then the teen's responses, slim sheets that seemed to shrink under her scrutiny. Her lips thinning slightly as she read the dates, her brown eyes narrowing with a flicker of skepticism. "Owner claims ruin. Teens claim fun youth's cost caught in the middle. I need proof, not please, let's hear it." The gallery buzzed whispers, swelling like a rising tide. Retirees like Ed Grayson, a grizzled mechanic with a thermos of black coffee muttering to his wife Clara, a retired clerk with a notepad clutched tight. Teens trashed at pics don't lie, they're cooked. Young workers like Tara Mills, a cashier, with a faded apron stuffed in her bag, whispering to her friend Lena Ortiz, a barista with tired eyes and a nervous fidget. Their wild might slip, though. George's course buddy Sam Carter, lanky with a faded cap pulled low, nudging his pal Luke, Ramsey, a mechanic with a thick beard and a skeptical grunt. "They wrecked it. George's solid judge, you'll see." Their voices a low hum of anticipation, a chorus threading through the tension, their bets and murmurs, a backdrop to the courtroom's simmering storm. A pulse matching the crisp air and the light's steady glow overhead, a rhythm that quickened as George stepped forward, his gray eyes locking onto Evelyn, his resolve, a steel thread woven through his stern. Calm. George's jaw tightened, his fingers steady on his folder, his breath firm as he stood, his boots silent on the marble, the weight of his cart and justice anchoring his stance. The teens' hands steadied, their eyes flickering with defiance. Their parents' tension, a fraying thread, Evelyn's words, a gauntlet thrown, their clash. Now a courtroom battlefield under her steady and unyielding gaze, Asheville's fading sky a faint shimmer. Beyond the tall windows, its river dulled by frost. The city's quiet sprawl echoed beast, brooding witness to their unraveling truth. George Miller took the stand first, climbing the steps, with a steady gait that echoed softly off the marble floor, his button-down crisp over his stocky frame, its fabric pressed, with the meticulous care of a man who'd spent 20 years tending greens, into order. His voice stern, yet edged with a quiet fury that simmered beneath his calm demeanor. A fire stoked by weeks of reliving that crash. The teen's reckless roar, the cart's crunch, the weight of his business bruised in an Asheville dusk. He swore, his hand firm on the Bible, its leather creased and soft from years of oaths, a weight grounding his resolve. "I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God." He sat, hands resting on the rail fingers, tracing its worn grain. As he adjusted the microphone with a faint squeak, his gray eyes locking onto Evelyn with a resolve tempered by years of labor, and claiming his short hair combed back. Swaying slightly as he leaned in, his breath steadying against the courtroom's crisp air, his voice threading through the stillness like a steel wire. "They rode my cart, crashed it, photos prove it, they owe me damages." He slid his evidence across the stand with a deliberate motion, a thick folder of repair estimates, photos, witness affidavits, rental records. His voice steady, carrying across the room, with a weight that filled the silence, an owner's precision cutting through the haze. "July 24th this year, 7:15 p.m., Whispering Pines. They take my cart, race it off, path 7, 20 p.m. Crash it in a ditch, photos, show at repair shop, says, $3,200 witness worker. Saw them do it. North Carolina, general statutes, 14-160 willful damage intent clear. They trashed it, owe me." His words landed like a quiet thunderclap rippling through the gallery, his gray eyes unwavering, a calm storm of justice beneath his poise, the weight of his cart and fight spilling into his testimony, his coarse years, a silent chorus, his pride, a bond that fueled his stand, his resolve, a steel thread woven through his claim, his business, a legacy he'd forged. Evelyn leaned forward, her brown eyes sharp and unyielding, her pen poised over her notepad, its nib catching the light as she tapped it once, a signal. She was slicing into the marrow of George's argument, her voice cutting dry through the crisp air like a scalpel through flesh. "Photos, clear, exact, what's it, showtime marks? Prove it to me, not just your say, so I need the damage, not your story." George's hands steadied, his voice firm, his gray eyes glinting with a fire that burned beneath his calm, as he slid the photos forward, his fingers steady despite the tremor of indignation. "Here, July 24th, 7:15 p.m. Cart's wheel bent, frame cracked, 7:20 p.m. Worker snaps pics, estimate $3,200. Shop confirmed witness statement. Saw them race crash. Clear as dust they did it. Accident, prove it, wasn't, how's it show intent? Not just your word. Show me the wreck, not their slip. Photos, wheel smashed. Ditch marks, witness, they raced, laughed, rental log. No permission, no slip. They meant it, truth's plain. They ruined." His voice rose slightly, a tremor of conviction breaking through his calm, his gray eyes glinting with a flicker of triumph beneath the resolve. His hands steady as he pointed to the photos, the weight of his loss spilling into his words, his course, grit a steady anchor, his pride a wound, now a weapon, his resolve a fire that burned bright. "Damages, cost specifics, why's it theirs? Show me the harm, not just the cart. $3,200 repair bill, shop invoice, lost rentals, 14-160 they damaged it, witness. Saw them plan, harms, real justice says. They pay, truth's heavy, they owe." His voice steadied again, his hands unclenching slightly, his gray eyes meeting Evelyn's sharp scrutiny, his resolve a steel thread beneath his calm. The courtroom holding its breath as he laid bare the stakes, his coarse years a testament, his cart a bond he'd forged, his resolve a flame that held firm. Evelyn scribbled, her voice dry as the Asheville frost outside her drawl, measured but piercing. "Photos are steel. Your take's solid, defendant's turn. I need facts, not fluff, go on." Luke Tanner rose. First, his ascent swift and tense, each step thudding against the marble like a spark's echo. His faded t-shirt tense over his lanky frame, his cocky grin a brittle mask, steady but edged with defiance, as he swore, his hand firm on the Bible, its weight grounding his faltering resolve. "I swear to tell the truth, The whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. He sat, hands gripping the rail fingers, digging into the wood as he adjusted the microphone, his hazel eyes locking onto Evelyn with a defiance, tempered by unease. His dark hair tousled, swaying slightly as he leaned in, his breath sharp with the sting of nerves beneath his calm, his voice threading through the stillness like a frayed wire. We wrote it, sure crashed it, no intent, just fun. We all dared, no debt. He slid his evidence across with a shaky motion, a handwritten note, a few texts, his voice steady, carrying across the room with a weight that faltered under scrutiny, a skater's bravado cutting through the haze. July 24th, 7:15 p.m. Course, we grab it. I drive, we race. 7:20 p.m. It flips. We run, no plan, just laughs. Note, says dared. Texts. Let's ride, no intent, just a mess, truth simple, we flared. His words landed like a shaky flare, flickering, swaying through the gallery, his hazel eyes flickering with a mix of certainty and creeping doubt. A fragile storm beneath his poise. His mind racing with the fallout, crew bets, souring since George's suit hit his skater life. A noose tightening his resolve, a fire that flickered beneath his strain. Mia Delgado followed her sharp tongue, tense but brittle as she swore, her steady brown eyes glinting with defiance. I dared him, wrote it. No plan, just fun. We all did. Truth shared, we messed up. Ethan Brooks chimed in, his nervous edge quivering. I went along, no intent, just laughs. We flipped truth's light, we're sorry. Ava and Noah Carter echoed in tandem. Ava's laugh dulled Noah's grip, shaky. We dared, road crashed, no debt, just kids, truth split, we flared. But Evelyn's gaze sharpened, her pen tapping, once her voice slicing through. Intent exact, when where, prove it wasn't planned. Show me facts, not words. Luke's hands steadied, his voice firm, his hazel eyes glinting with a fire that burned beneath his panic. 7:15 p.m., July 24th. Course, we grab, I drive, we race. 7:20 p.m. It flips. No plan, note, says dare. Texts. Write it, no intent, just fun, truth's clear, we flared. Damage, prove it less. How's it show, no cost? Not just your word. Show me the flare, not his fix. Note, dared, no plan. Text, let's go. Buddy saw laugh, not crash. Photos. His card, our flare, no $3,200, just mess, truth's plain. We flared. His voice wavered, his hands clenching the note. His hazel eyes flickering with a shadow of doubt beneath the defiance, the gallery holding its breath as his words stumbled, the teens' resolve a frayed thread, their parents' tension a silent chorus. Harm cost specifics. Why's it not yours? Show me the heat, not his hit. No harm meant we dared. Texts fun, no debt $3,200. His greed, truth simple, we flared, not plan. Justice says split it. His voice steadied, his hands unclenching, his hazel eyes pleading beneath the strain, the courtroom holding its breath, as he laid bare their fragile dodge. Their skater lives a shield now, dust their families a tangle of blame and shame. The courtroom crackled as witnesses took the stand, their voices threading through the crisp air, like live wires sparking in the dusk, each testimony a jolt that fueled the mounting tension. Georgia's courseworker Clara Evans, a wiry groundskeeper with a steady gaze and calloused hands from years, mowing fairways, testified, first climbing the stand with a calm step that belied the weight of her words, her voice steady, her brown eyes clear and unflinching. July 24th, 7:15 p.m. Ninth hole, I saw them race the cart, laugh, crash it in the ditch. They ran clear, damage no doubt. Evelyn leaned in, her brown eyes piercing. Exact time. What did you see? How'd they act? Prove it, not guess. Show me the crash, not their flare. Clara's hands rested steady on the rail, her voice firm. 7:15 p.m., July 24th, ninth hole. 10 yards away they race. Yell go, crash it. 7:20 p.m. They bolt, photos match, I saw it, they meant it, no slip. Her words landed like a quiet hammer, the gallery, shifting whispers, swelling as she stepped down her grounds. Shifts. A silent witness to the teens' chaos, her testimony, a steel thread in George's tale, her resolve a steady rock. The teen's friend, Sam Carter, followed his ascent slower, sneakers, scuffing the marble with a reluctant thud, his lanky frame hunched slightly under a faded hoodie. his quiet smirk fading as he swore, his hand heavy on the Bible. "I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God." He sat, hands gripping the rail, fingers twitching as he adjusted the microphone, his blue eyes locking onto Evelyn with defiance and a flicker of unease that danced beneath his lean frame. His voice gruff but steady, cutting through the air like a low growl. "They dared, July 24th, 7:15 p.m. Course yelled, 'Ride it, no plan I saw. Just laughs, crashed accident, not damage, their fault heat.'" He slid his thin papers across a scribbled note, his voice carrying a weight of certainty, though a faint crack betrayed his strain. "7:15 p.m., July 24th, course. 10 yards back, they yell, 'Go.' Right at 7:20 p.m., it flips. No plan note, says dared, laughs. Not crash, truth simple. They flared." Evelyn's gaze sharpened, her pen tapping once, her voice slicing through. "Crash exact, when, where, prove it was chance, show me facts, not words." Sam's hands steadied, his voice firm, his blue eyes glinting with a flicker of defiance. 7:15 p.m., July 24th, course. They yell, "Ride crash, 7:20 p.m. They're off, no plan note, says dare. I saw laughs, not wreck, truth's clear, they flared. Damage, prove it less. How's it show no mark, not just your take? Show me the laugh, not his loss." Note, dared, no plan. I saw him laugh, photos, angles off, dusk, heat, they flared, not crashed, truth's plain, they messed. His voice wavered, his hands clenching the note, his blue eyes flickering with a shadow of doubt. Beneath the defiance, the gallery holding its breath, as his words stumbled, his crew loyalty, a fraying thread. Since the crash hit his bets, souring with their dodge, his resolve a flame flickering low. Evidence clashed like thunderheads colliding, George's photos, time-stamped July 24, 7:15:03 p.m., captured the cart's wheel-bent frame, cracked in the ditch, 7:57 p.m. Teens tumbling clear, as the Asheville dusk repair estimate, $3,200, stood firm. Affidavits, Clara, saw them race crash, solid as stone. North Carolina General Statutes, 14 to 160, willful damage. With intent, the teens' notes, dared, no plan. And texts paled beside the photos, a flimsy scrap against a tidal wave of truth. Sam's no plan echoed the teens but crumbled under the photo's clarity. A thin reed bending under scrutiny, George's folder swelled with rental logs, a timeline. Tight as a groundskeeper's trim, the teens' resolve, a frayed thread beneath their thin defense, their families a tangle of blame and shame. Evelyn probed, her voice sharp as a blade, her brown eyes blazing like a storm breaking over the mountains. "Fun or fault photos show fault, why deny? Prove it to me, kids, flare or ruin, what's it say?" Luke's jaw tightened, his voice tense, defiance flaring. "Fun. We dared, road crashed, no plan photos. Heat not intent, we flared, truth's plain, we messed." His hands clenched the rail, his hazel eyes flickering with a mix of certainty and panic, the gallery gasping as his words clashed with the photos' silent truth. The teens' lives a shield, now dust their parents' tension, a silent chorus, their resolve a fire snuffed by proof. Evelyn's gaze narrowed, her pen slashing the page. "Photos are fact, your flare, Ben's next witness. I need steel, not smoke." The air thickened as the next witness was called, George's assistant, Lena Ortiz. A wiry worker with a steady gaze and a soft Carolina drawl climbed the stand, her testimony a quiet counterpoint. July 24th, 7:15 p.m. Course saw them race, yell, "Go." Crashed the cart, they ran clear, ruin, no doubt. Evelyn cut in. "Exact when, where, prove it not, echo." "What did you see?" Lena's hands rested steady, her voice firm. 7:15 p.m., course 10 yards away. They race, laugh, crash, 7:20 p.m. They bolt, photos match, I saw it, truth solid, they ruined. Evelyn's voice sharpened. "Intent, explain it, why, ruin, why lie?" Lena's gaze held. "No lie, fun, they yelled, go, crashed, ruin, not flare, truth's plain, they meant it." The gallery murmured, tension coiling tighter, as Lena stepped down, her shifts a silent witness to George's fight, her resolve a steady flame. A week of unrelenting heat testimony, piled like cordwood on a blazing fire, voices rose, like thunder, rolling over the French broad papers, shuffled into towering stacks, their edges curling in the crisp air. Ink smudged from anxious hands. The courtroom, a crucible, simmering with sweat and strain, its air thick with the weight of words, and the gallery's murmurs swelling like a storm, breaking over the city's brick sprawl. Evelyn recessed daily, retreating to her chambers, a stark nook with a scratched desk cluttered with files, and a half-read novel. Its pages yellowed from years on the shelf. A window, framing Asheville's skyline, crisp through a clear pane. The city's buildings and river dulled by morning frost. Her coffee cooling untouched beside a stack of North Carolina statutes and a worn legal pad, its pages scrawled with notes, timestamps, frames her boots, tapping a relentless rhythm against the hardwood as she paced her mind, sifting through the tangle with a judge's steady precision, weighing every word, every glance, every scrap of evidence against the emotional currents, swirling beneath like the river's hidden depths. Its flow steady but unseen, its silt muddying the truth, her teaching days, a distant grit, her law school nights, the steel guide, her Asheville years, a steady pulse, her resolve, a fire that burned steady. She returned on Monday, August 28th, her robe rustling as she climbed the bench, her voice firm, cutting through the room's hum like a blade through silence. Her brown eyes sweeping the gallery, then settling on the teens and parents with a weight that pinned them like stones under a mountain's relentless ridge. Her presence, a stern anchor in the storm, her drawl, sharp and unyielding. Photos bind them all liable, parents too. Pay up July 24th, damage upheld. She leaned forward, her pen tapping once a single resounding strike, her voice rising, her brown eyes blazing like a storm breaking over the ridge. Her words, a thunderclap that silenced the room. Evidence don't lie, kids' parents you do. Photos July 24, 7:15:03 p.m. Cart's wheel bent, frame cracked. 7:15:07 p.m. you tumble, laugh, clear as dusk. Estimate $3,200 affidavits. Clara. Saw them race crash. Lena yelled. Go ruined. 14:160 intent, clear, no flare. Your notes dared no plan, flop photos or steal. You did, you owe all 5 liable parents $2,640 each, 30 days, truth's out. And it's heavy. The teens sank into their seats, their eyes dimming, Luke's cocky grin fading, Mia's sharp tongue, stilled Ethan's nervous edge, quivering Ava, and Noah's twin daring, dulled their hands clenching notes, until papers tore, sharp rips slicing the silence. Fault laid bare defiance. A shadow. Unmasked a truth they couldn't shrug off, a burden now etched into their bones, their reckless edge dissolving into grimaces as the gallery's murmurs swelled around them like a tide. Their skater lives a noose they'd tightened themselves, their crew bets, a fading echo. Their parents fumed, Linda's weary gaze, hardening Mark's stern jaw, clenching Susan's frazzled sigh, breaking Karen's remarried calm, shattering their resolve, a fire snuffed by proof, their families, a tangle of blame and shame. George stood tall, his gray eyes softening, a flicker of triumph washing over him, like a wave breaking on shore, his hands unclenching on his folder, a weight lifting from his shoulders, though the echo of that crash lingered. A shadow of justice reclaimed his cart, and dignity affirmed the courtroom's gasp, a chorus of awe as he stepped back. His mission, not just to win, but to mend, a quiet strength, now a beacon. His coarse years, a silent testament, his pride a wound, now a victory, his resolve a steel thread that held firm. The gallery erupted in hushed awe, Ed muttering, "They're got pics or king, they're cooked." Clara nodding. "Fair's fair, she nailed 'em." Tara whispering, "Told you truth wins, she's solid." Lena grinning, "She's a rock, Judge Power." Sam shaking his head. They flared, honest heat. Luke silent, his jaw tight. Evelyn's gavel fell, a crisp thud, wood meeting wood, echoing like a vault slamming shut, silencing the storm. 640 each, 30 days, case closed. Facts clear, Mr. Miller prevails. Next. Outside, Asheville shimmered under a dusk streaked with amber and violet. The air cooling as the sun sank below the horizon, its golden light glinting off the French Broad River's gentle ripples, casting a fleeting glow over the city's brick skyline. The streets, alive with the hum of evening traffic, and the distant pulse of crickets fading into the night. The city's pulse a steady beat beneath the glow, the air alive with whispers of justice. One the mountain's breath, a quiet murmur. George drove off in his truck, its faded finish catching the last rays, his gray eyes glinting with relief, and a quiet triumph, his hands steady on the wheel, as he navigated the streets toward Whispering Pines, the hum of the engine, a soft melody beside him, a future brighter, yet still tender. His mind drifting to the fallout he'd won, headlines buzzing, owner wins damages from teens workers cheering his shift that night. The teen's debt, a symbol of his resolve, his quiet strength, the spark that lit a fire of justice in Asheville's courts. His cart restored a pause after the storm. Yet a question lingered in the stillness. Would calm heal in Asheville's dusk? Or would youth's shadow stretch further, clawing back from the light? He'd cast his course, years a testament, his pride a wound, now fading his resolve, a steady flame that burned bright, his business a bond he'd reclaimed. The teens faded into the courthouse lot, their parents' cars parked crooked against maples, their faded finishes dulled by dusk, their eyes hard with flickers of disbelief, their lean frames slumped against doors, their hands gripping keys with forces that whitened knuckles, tension, unspent storms brewing beneath their silence. Luke's sharp voice muttering to the wind. We flared, I saw it, damn pics are wrong. Mia's retort low. We dared, truth split. Ethan's whisper faint. I followed sorry, Ava and Noah's tandem sigh. We messed, it's done. Shadows of doubt, they couldn't shake, clung to them faults. They couldn't shrug off burdens, now etched into their bones, their reckless edges dissolving into grimaces. As parents fumed, Linda's weary voice hardening. You'll work it off. Mark's stern tone snapping. No more dares. Susan's frazzled plea. Why'd you do it? Karen's remarried calm breaking. You'll pay every cent. Their taillights fading into the crisp, golden glow. A skater's fire shattered by a debt's cost, questions trailing behind them like exhaust fumes in the night air. Could they reclaim calm from a moment's dare? Or would the debt they'd forged swallow them, whole casualties of the truth? They'd failed to see their crew bets, dust their families. Tangles of blame and shame, their lives, weights. They'd bear their resolve's fires, now ash their joyride a wound that lingered still. They'd face the payment, their dare a noose they'd tightened, yet their echoes lingered in Asheville's backlots. Cautionary tales for those who'd watched their reckless night's shadows that faded slow. Evelyn drove home to her cottage on the city's edge, its cedar siding catching the last golden rays before dusk swallowed them, the French Broad River, a shimmering silhouette against the sky, its edges blurring into shadow, the pines along its banks whispering in the breeze, her sedan rumbling over asphalt, its tires humming a steady tune as she pondered. Would lessons mend between teens and a town, bound by a crash's violent turn? Would justice's weight soften, or drift further into the dusk like a lesson half learned a bond, unhealed her teaching days, a distant grit? Her law school nights, a steel guide, her Asheville years, a steady pulse, her rulings a testament to justice's grind, her Raleigh roots a quiet flame that burned steady, her resolve a fire that held firm. The horizon stretched North Carolina's mountains, whispering under a sky deepening to indigo, the river glinting faintly, a mirror to her thoughts. What heals a scar carved by youth? What waits in the crisp golden glow for kids with fire and a town with proof? What lessons linger in the cool air for a crash that broke trust, but not her steel, the teen's debt a testament, George's card a lingering echo? Evelyn's justice, a quiet call that rang true, a question that shimmered still, a question hung open and vast, shimmering in Asheville's quiet night, a truth unresolved, a story trailing into the dusk. Its next chapter, waiting beyond the courtroom, beyond the river, beyond the glow that settled over the city like a promise yet to unfold, a whisper of what might rise from the ashes of a fading sky's reckoning. The teens fire fragile embers. George's steel, a steady flame. Evelyn's justice, a quiet murmur that lingered on. Thank you all for watching this video. Please comment and let me know what you think about this story. Please like and subscribe to watch more great content on my channel.